Hello, friends. How are you today? Well, today I would love to talk with you about energy of the Schumann resonance and also about us as human beings and what this means in our lives and how we can manage our own energy. I'll address that after we take a quick look at the chart. Here's today's chart, and there's quite a bit of interesting white resonance and really vertical lines on the chart, as opposed to waves of energy that can be in like a big, huge teardrop shape or almost like a waterfall look. There's been a lot of these vertical lines lately, and even these waves here of white resonance still have a vertical line nature to them. And I, as you know, if you've listened to me for a while, I tend to think of these or call them rods. And they go from 0 to 40 hertz, the full spectrum of the chart. Right here on the left, that's the hertz range, 0 to 40, 0 at the very top and 40 at the bottom, the way this chart is presented. This happens to also be the hertz range of human brainwaves. On my beginner playlist, I discuss that and many other reasons why I view this image as a map of human consciousness. We can take a look at the image that came out before the current set, but including this day. And I wanted to go back to this because when I was looking at these images, I was thinking about input creation. In my last videos, I've talked about how we can make a choice to focus our attention in one part of the chart or another, in one set of brainwaves or another in our daily life. Now, of course, when we're sleeping, we just happen to be in a certain set of brainwaves. When we wake up, especially initially, we're in one, and as we start our day, we'll go into others. But there's a point at which we can become conscious of our choice of where we rest our thinking mind or our observational state of being. Let's take a look at the black charts really quick because I want to show you the energies. Okay, so these are going to be for today's chart ending the 18th. There's some interesting stuff here. On the frequencies, it's interesting because in the red and the yellow, it's like the frequency is hanging at one level and then it'll dip down. And you've got that here, and then with these dips here. Same thing in the red. We saw this in a super exaggerated way last year in the summer, then going into the fall, and throughout the fall. It was very, very exaggerated in the red, especially. And I called that the Wall of Jericho. I have some great videos on that if you want to go back and take a look at those. So I'm just observing, that trend, just keeping an eye on it. There was an interesting dip here in yellow that really didn't affect much else on the chart, so I'm going to look at that with you. You can see that a lot of these rods cause dips in the frequencies. And when that happens, I view that as an expanded energy in the white resonance is affecting the resonances in general, causing them to dip to their lows. So in the amplitude, it's really interesting because there's almost like there's two things going on, like a ba-boom, boom, like in a heartbeat, how there's kind of like two movements, right? Ba-boom, boom. So I'm just observing that. I have more to say on this, but I'm going to go into a second video because it's a new theme. Now look at this, all the qualities have been low, but here you had a spike to 19 in yellow. And that was the most noticeable thing here. In one of my most recent videos, I talked about how the low qualities are making it difficult to focus. And my last set of videos, it's almost like a series around creation, focusing, bringing yourself together in a centered way. So the last series, if you haven't looked at it, of maybe 4, 5, 6 videos, you could check those out for more. In particular, I just want to show you, I just put up a new thumbnail for this video, but I created a video on fractals, wholeness, and integration. And it addresses these issues. And I'd love to tie the human experience in with themes from the Schumann resonance. And so in a low quality environment, it's tough to really get a sense of the truth of who you are. right? To really feel together within. In this video, I explain about how we actually can observe and realize that there are fractals of our own self, and we are using those as a perception. We're looking through those fractals, and so we perceive from these different fractals in different moments of our lives. When we are able to learn to integrate these, we become more whole, centered unto ourselves until we find the next fractal, and then we can make the choice to integrate that to do the process again. But when we feel that we're in that centered and integrated whole self, this is where we start to unhook from the collective low energy around accessing the true nature of one's own self, and we are able to make the conscious choice to be present for ourselves and then to make conscious choices from there. So we unhook from the collective unconscious when we do that. Isn't that cool? So check out that video. It's got some real gems in it. And I think it's the one or two videos before this one. I just wanted to also show you in the quality here spike. That's 4 a.m. on the 17th. So let's just take a look at what happened here on the image chart. And you can see here, I'm just going to put 4 a.m. in the center. There's these little yellow lines and tiny black dots. It's like something in the realm that yellow relates to was touched, brought up, noticed. But at 4 a.m., there was not much energy. Okay, so see, there's no spike in amplitudes, and look how low. Amplitudes are down close to 2. So not necessarily something to do about it. Like, we might not have the energy at this moment to do anything about it. But we make the observation in this state, and look at this. I'm pointing this out because, see, this is the only frequency that dipped down at this time at 4 a.m. with the yellow. I like to point out changes in patterns, and then we either draw a conclusion at the moment or think about it over time until we get more information. But I think it's interesting because you have a process of these big waves here, and then there was some kind of observation of the non-physical that seemed to come in and be a part of the rolling out of these energies. And that actually matches with this idea of integrating fractals. To be able to do integration, one needs to observe and notice that there is a part of ourself that is split off, or that is separate from us, or that needs extra love so that we can integrate it. And I talked about that process in that video. But when we have an input, and then we make a creation, that's kind of how I saw this chart the other day. We can bring that consciousness to the creation as well. This reminded me of the towers. When the first tower came down, and it started just dustifying up at the top here, and then pouring parts of the tower just pouring over each side of it back 20 years ago. And so I put it as sadness pouring out of this person's, beautiful blue eyes. It's important to understand input, creation, that we can bring our consciousness to the energy of creation. We're not on our own here at the effect of forces. When we integrate parts of ourselves, connect with the divinity that we are, and bring our consciousness to our life, our environment, and the choices that we are making.